another edition of The Naked Truth. My name is John Singletary.
And my name is Ramon Rome.
And today we're going to talk about encouraging people to get out and vote. We've got an election that's coming up, and we just talked in the other video about educating yourself, voting just for the sake of voting, while in America you can vote for any reason you want to. If you vote based on educating yourselves as to who will be operating in your own best interest, then the vote means so much more. It's more beneficial to you. We want to praise our African Americans and other citizens for getting out and voting. In the North Charleston election, we had more blacks to come out and vote than any other time in the history of the city. We had 5,600 out of the 11,000 to get out and vote, and we want to encourage that. We want to encourage you to also move to the next level, as we said, and to understand what you're voting for, who you're voting for, how it's going to impact your community, how it's going to benefit you personally. Because at the end of the day, the vote is powerful, and you want to be able to use that to your own best economic interests. Because so many things in America is dependent upon your socioeconomic status and the economics that run through your community.
Even though we are approaching the general election for president, and we don't want to lose sight of the fact that our local elections are vitally important. And not saying that they're more important than your general elections, but it is vitally important because those are the ones that the government that governs best, govern closest. However, we do live in a world and a globe that has a nation. We need to elect officials or a person that's going to represent the United States abroad, and so that is important as well, because a lot depends upon how what kind of policies the president or candidate has when it comes down to our economy, when it comes down to defense, because we depend upon, that's why the president is called a commander-in-chief, because he is the commander-in-chief of our military, and you want to make sure that your vote does count. You want to make sure that who you're voting for is going to be in your best interest, and not just yours, but also the nation's.
Absolutely.
In that country. And so one of the things for me, John, and I'm probably more militant or maybe more patriotic. I'm not saying more patriotic. When I look at the president, I look at the fact that we have a foreign policy in this country, or our foreign policies in the past have been, somewhat destructive, I would say, to other nations. And if you ever read some of the newspapers or listened to news from other countries when they talk about the United States, man, it's a shocking thing. Like I was reading an article about what the president did back in 1959 to an activist in actually he was a prime minister in Congo. They had him killed. But that was our foreign policy. But when we look at who we elect in office, you must use care to do that. And sometimes it doesn't work out because we got the Electoral College that determines it. It's not like the popular vote says that, hey, just because if the popular vote was it, Gore would have been president.
Absolutely.
And heaven help us. I'm sorry.
It always helps us.
Yeah.
But when we take a look at voting, again, we want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. At the end of the day, when the majority of the people get out, they vote, then we have more of the opinions of the people who are engaged. If you sit back and allow 10-12% of the people to be engaged in the political process, that's going to affect your daily life. And as often said, politics is local. The things that happen on a local level are going to affect you the most. Well, when you look from the national perspective, of course, the president's policies are going to eventually affect you on the local
Eventually,
level.
yeah.
The things that you have access to may not have access to, those kinds of things. But on a daily basis, it is your local election that affects you the most. So
That's right.
those you don't want to miss out on.
Don't want to miss out.
You don't want to miss out on those, because those things are going to determine to a large extent how much taxes you pay on your house. It's going to determine to a large extent your electric bill, your water bill. Why? Because those things are franchised out to either corporations or they're municipal run, and as a result, it's going to affect the check that you get coming home every single day. And so that's why we want you to take it seriously when it's election time, and considering the candidates that are up before you. And while you don't have to have a reason, if you want to be fully engaged and really understand the process, then educate yourselves and have a reason why you vote for someone.
And you know what, John, as far as our black viewers, you have to consider the fact that 4,742 people were lynched fighting for your rights to vote. 4,007. Now, that's not including, such as we did a video on Hamburg Massacre. You know, those people were just shot to death. So there were thousands of people that were killed based upon because they wanted to exercise their right to vote. So when you don't vote, for me, I take it personal. When I don't vote, if I don't vote, I am saying that, hey, they died in vain. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely right.
So even if there's two candidates, or you know, even like I think it was one guy said that, you know, even if I don't like none of the candidates, I'll write in a candidate. But I'm voting.
But vote.
But I'm voting.
Absolutely.
I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote. And I think that we should take voting serious, not just, as John said, not just only in the general election, but our local elections are important.
Absolutely.
They're important.
In many countries, it's mandatory voting. You have to vote.
Mhm.
And if you don't vote, they actually charge you a fee to not vote.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Many countries I think there's like 22 of them, but you have to vote, and if you don't, they charge you. It's not a whopping amount, $50 or something like that, but you still have to vote.
Right.
Because they want people involved in the process. Here in America, we have...
That's a different type of poll tax.
Yeah. Here we have the freedom to choose to vote or not vote.
Right.
But, if you can, and get out and vote, be involved in the process. It's, I feel it's your duty to do so.
You should do it too. So. Yep. Well, we appreciate your time. Remember now, the elections are coming up. November 3rd.
Yeah.
November 3rd. Please participate, watch these debates, watch the primaries, and see how your candidate is doing. Please, hey, look here, we've got to rock the vote. This has been another edition of